They say the dark web is just code and data, but what I found didn't stay on the screen. It followed me into my home, my dreams, and now, my reality. I thought I could escape it. After that night, the knocks, the whispers, the words carved into my skin that made me do the only thing I could think of: run. But I didn't go home. I couldn't. Whatever had clawed its way into my world that night, whatever I had accidentally let in, it didn't just stay behind, but came with me. So I drove with no map, no destination, just an endless blacktop and my headlights cutting through it like a knife through rotting meat. I took roads so empty they felt forgotten by time, roads that twisted like veins through the countryside, the kind where even the stars seemed hesitant to watch. Eventually, I found an old, run-down motel, the kind of place you only stay at if you're desperate, or trying to get away from something even worse. The red vacancy sign was barely lit, and one of the letters kept blinking like it was about to go out. The walls of the building were worn down, with paint peeling like old skin. A single moth kept flying into the light above the office door over and over until it died. There was no Wi-Fi, no bars on my phone, just the hum of failing electricity and the stench of mildew soaked into the walls. It felt cut off, like the place itself was buried under something invisible, exactly what I needed. I walked into the front office and the air hit me like wet cardboard. The man behind the counter didn't look up. His skin was grey, waxy, eyes sunken like he hadn't blinked in days. He didn't say a word, just slid me an old brass key with a worn leather tag. Room 12. His nail scratched against the desk as he pushed it toward me, thick and yellowed, like he hadn't clipped it in years. I didn't give a name, as he didn't ask for one. When I stepped into the room, it was like the world took a breath and held it. The quiet was unnatural. It wasn't peaceful and felt wrong. The kind of quiet where you swear you can hear your own blood moving, where even the creak of the door sounds like a scream in your ear. I stood there for a while, just listening, daring something to move. But nothing did. I lay on the stained mattress, still wearing my clothes. My body shook not because I was cold, but because of what I had seen, or maybe because of what had seen me. I tried to close my eyes, but every time I did, I saw it again. The image was burned into my mind. It wasn't a normal face, more like a smear, like a photo that got dragged across wet ink. It looked human-shaped, but it didn't stay still. It was like watching someone on a broken video, blurry, moving wrong, full of hate. I never fell asleep. Then right at 3:03 a.m., not a minute earlier or later, the old TV in the corner suddenly turned on. It made me jump up in bed. I stared at the screen, and my heart felt like it was going to explode. I hadn't touched the remote. In fact, I knew it wasn't even in the room. Worse than that, I never plugged the TV in. I had seen the power cord earlier, still tied up behind the cabinet, but now the TV was on, buzzing loudly, blasting static that filled the whole room. The screen looked like white snow, but it started to shift. Something was behind it, trying to come through. The image rippled like someone pulling back a curtain made of water, and then it appeared. A shape, a figure. At first, just a shadow, tall and far too skinny. Its arms and legs were too long, and its joints bent the wrong way, like tree branches that had been broken and never healed right. Even the static seemed afraid of it. The screen bent and twisted around the shape, like the world didn't want it there. It wasn't part of the TV signal. It was something using the signal. Its face, if you could call it that, was a nightmare. Not masked, not hidden, just unreadable. A blur of motion and wrongness. It was like the screen was actively censoring it, smearing its face with invisible hands, like whatever rules governed this world couldn't handle it. And then, it lifted its head. One arm rose slowly, creaking, as if it had forgotten how to move. Its fingers were grotesque, too many joints, bending both ways, pale and skeletal. They reached outward, toward me, and then it stepped forward, not on the screen, through it. The glass didn't break, the frame didn't move, but somehow it advanced, its form pushing closer, until it felt like it would breach the veil between there and here. My body refused to move, every muscle locked. My skin broke into sweat so cold it burned. I wanted to scream, but something deep inside me already knew. It wasn't bound to the screen anymore. The TV began to pulse, warping, groaning under the pressure. My throat clenched as I scrambled to my feet, but I couldn't take my eyes off it. Then came the whisper, a voice layered like many mouths speaking at once, sliding through the static. "You opened the door." The screen went black. That was enough. I bolted. No shoes, no bag. Just my keys and my life. I ran to my car and peeled out of the parking lot, tires kicking up gravel like I was outrunning the devil himself. I didn't stop driving until the sky started turning grey. I pulled into another motel, smaller, filthier, barely more than a shack with numbered doors. The man behind the counter didn't ask questions. He looked like he didn't even see me. He handed me a rusty key on a bent wire ring. Room 6. This one smells like mold and old cigarettes. The wallpaper peeled in long strips, revealing wood underneath, darkened by water damage or something worse, but I didn't care. I just needed a place to collapse. I didn't even undress. I hit the bed and passed out cold. I woke up in pitch black. I don't mean the lights were off. I mean the lights were on, but they weren't casting any light. The room was full of an unnatural darkness, like someone had drained every drop of illumination and replaced it with pure shadow, and something was in the darkness with me. I heard it breathing. It was right next to me. I turned my head, and my heart almost stopped. It was there, inches from my face, that figure from the screen, now in the flesh. Its body still blurred, like it wasn't entirely part of this world. The room pulsed with cold, and where it stood, the shadows thickened as if it was feeding on the darkness. It reached out slowly with one jagged hand. The fingers touched my arm. It was cold but burning, like dry ice melting into fire. My skin hissed where it made contact. "You belong to us now," it said. The words didn't come from its mouth. They seeped into my head, bypassing ears, crawling like centipedes into my brain. I screamed so hard, it felt like my throat ripped open, but no sound came out. It was like something had swallowed it, like the darkness had eaten my voice. Then everything went black. When I woke up, I was back in my car, parked outside the motel. I started to wonder, was it all just a nightmare? I wanted to believe that, until I looked down at my arm. A fresh mark had been seared into the skin, a symbol, curved, jagged, pulsing faintly beneath the surface like it was alive. I didn't recognize it, but it filled me with dread the moment I saw it. Not a dream. Not even close. I drove away in silence, didn't look back, but I knew it wasn't over. Because this isn't just some curse or haunted video. I invited something in, and now it knows who I am, where I am. It found me, and if you're watching this, it might find you too. I haven't turned on a screen since, not my phone, not a TV, not even my dashboard display, because every time I see static, I expect to see it. I don't sleep much anymore, not since I woke up with that symbol burned into my skin, because I'm scared I might wake up with a new symbol. Something opened that night, and I don't think it ever closed. If you think you're safe behind your screen, think again, because the door's already open and something's watching. For more stories, make sure you like, comment and subscribe to Insidious Inc. And remember, some tabs should never be opened.